section about you. I'm just going to try to help you work your energy together. I'm wearing an Occupy Detroit t-shirt right now. And I took off my coat with all my little buttons on it. That's because right now I'm not a Ron Paul supporter, or a Bill supporter, a Kucinich supporter, or even like Neil Cannon Stevenson from Congress, which is on there, trying to be part of the 99%. I'm also drinking chamomile, if that mellows you out. Yes?
Can we rearrange the seats to a circle?
If that's what you want to do, go do it. The circle around.
I use it to put the dead the charger?
Well, I was going to use it through the whole thing. So it would die.
Oh, okay. Okay. Kind of stuck out to get here, so I can't find a way to.
There are a lot of people who want to be here.
I'm going to Oh, over there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I got a double word out.
Everybody, you ready? Okay. I'm going to make a little quick speech to kind of set the precedent here, and then after that, I want to give everybody an opportunity to talk. If you have a question or a concern, that's great. What I'm going to suggest to everyone is that in many cases when there's a problem, people get in a contest to see which one of them can be a bigger asshole. I'd like you to get into a contest to see who can be more kind than the other person, and it literally means kill them with kindness. You know, I don't care what anybody says to you. If you don't like it, smile. Because the whole point is, we're trying to make it so that we're not saying stuff like that to each other anymore. If you sling it back and forth, it just keeps going. So, that being said, one of the things I said when we proposed to have these meetings, and I'm hoping that it hits bigger, is that one of the things I noticed within the group is that we're all kind of fracturing, and I think a large part of that is because we don't have a central place where we kind of get together and hang out. And if we have a concern with each other individually, we don't really have anywhere like I can't take you over like I could in Kansas and say, hey, I'd really like to talk to you about this one thing. So instead, we have the people who don't have any internet, and we have the people who have internet. And we have the people with 5900, we have the people with the slots, and we have the people, and that's the reason I brought up the South Park episode that Trey Parker made about us. For those of you who don't know, Trey Parker is a free market libertarian and doesn't really care for us. Was that he basically said that eventually we were all going to split up into 30% and 20% and 10%, and that we would, and therefore, kind of disintegrate. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that there's something that happened in this group, at least that I've seen, that is, as I understand it, because I study a lot of different occupies because of my radio show, is that even the occupies in Europe are having a significant problem with camp versus non-camp. As in, I read about this happening in Sweden, I read about this happening in England, so it's also happening in the United States. And the attitude about that, it seems to be like nobody's really coming up with a good solid solution. I think the big solution is to remember to just kind of respect everybody for whatever they can do for the group. And I totally appreciate and see both sides of that issue. There's the people who are in the camp who feel, well, you're not camping. You're not out here with us every day. You're not out here in the cold. You're not being threatened with, violence or having your stuff stolen or whatever. So we kind of resent you guys showing up here and telling us how we ought to be doing it, But I also see the frustration on the other side because I'm kind of in the middle. I couldn't be at camp all the time, and so this whole thing. And whenever I was at camp, I had no internet at all. So I was totally cut off from everyone else. So the issue with that is that the other side of it is that they feel excluded. They feel like they're not, being represented within that group. It's a frustrating thing. And as a result, they feel like the people at camp think they're running the movement. And that makes them obviously displeased. Okay? And that's what I think is kind of the root of this, is that as things started off, it started with the camp versus not camp, and then it evolved into what we have now. So my question then is going to be, first of all, keeping in mind that the goal here is that any questions that we're going to ask are going to be to try to achieve an understanding and to get rid of any kind of grudge. Who, first of all, I'm going to start with this, would like to voice any concerns they had about the way our stuff got to 50 ML.
If I could suggest one more thing.
What's that?
Everybody could try to use language that's talking about groups instead of individuals.
Sure, yeah, don't be accusatory. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in general, about meeting, like, this sort of loose meeting, or, like, are you the facilitator?
I'm essentially mediating it and then facilitating it, but not using a strict GA structure. It's more of a let's get everybody talking structure. So, the hand signals and everything are still relevant.
Is there, like, an agenda or anything, or is it sort of different?
Well, today we discussed that the agenda was going to be this, but, it's designed, it's in the meeting minutes, how the future month will be handled, and it's just like people get an opportunity to talk about something, and then it becomes a discussion period, and then people get to report back on what they got out of their discussions when they move forward. That's how it's suggested in the future. I'm just trying to get this issue solved, so.
Okay, yeah, and it's just about the thing on the space. I think, like, it was really unfortunate, like, as a person who stayed at camp, like, about 3 nights a week, and saw a lot of difficulties that were going on there, just with, like people breathing at night all the time, and, really extreme weather conditions, right around that time, a huge windstorm, and I remember being like, holding down the handle, like, a huge hole got thrown in a giant parcel in the kitchen, and then I guess people came to the kitchen and started to get out giant tickets to everybody, sitting on fences, and so I mean there was the police came with a time thing parcel at 6 p.m. and it's colder, so there's a lot of stressors going on to the idea that we need to move this stuff now. And a lot of people that were just genuinely honestly burnt out from doing what was an intense food operation. I mean, like serving 3 meals a day, every day for 3 weeks straight. So there were a lot of people that just honestly, I think, kind of personally wanted to come home. I totally understand the way it happened, but I think that a lot of times there was never, and there could have been, something proposed at the GA before it happened. Some kind of broad meeting about, like, hey, this guy offers 5,900. There was a few, like, little campaigns here and there where we talked about, but there wasn't that big, like, we wanted to do that in this group, and so it sort of happened very quickly, and I think when it got proposed after it happened, a lot of people felt left out of that decision. So I think that was really where it was going to happen. And then since then, there's this option that, what's that to do that? So the important about the most part, I think there's just not a lot of discussion to be done that. I'm really excited about it. It's unfortunate the way it's sort of handled, I think, by people on both sides of it seems that it's stand off. That's
And Justin had their hands up for long.
Oh, wait, you're right. Justin was next, but you say your thing real quick. I'll come back to him and I'll...
I'd just like to volunteer to take back. That's okay.
Oh, if you want to, because I can't really see everybody here.
Yeah.
So go ahead with yours, and then we'll go to Justin.
Yeah, I understand the urgency with which, like, it was felt that camp needed to be broken down and that things needed a safe place to be. I think one of the biggest issues, or one thing that could solve or address a lot of issues that I've heard coming up surrounding what seems like there are issues surrounding occupied supplies and stuff that's been given to Occupy Detroit, and the belief that there's it doesn't seem like there is much transparency surrounding that. To my knowledge, there's been no inventory or documentation that's been done and made public of everything that's been given and everything that's been used and where it's going.
Real quickly, just because inevitably somebody's going to have to answer this, and you're saying a lot of stuff, and I totally want to get all of it, let's start with one question at a time. So, the inventory.
Or just transparency.
Transparency of where the stuff is and how much we have.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have an answer for that?
That much 5,900, come see it. If you want to staff this inventory, please feel free. We've been really busy trying to just get the space up to usable, and we set this up aside to let it be stored. We've been dumpster diving and asked not to touch the food. So as to where that's at for transparency, I think that exposes a little bit more.
Does that answer your question? Okay. Next point? Or
That was pretty much the question. I mean, I don't know where we stand as far as an inventory and knowing what, where.
Okay. Did you have any kind of apprehension because maybe you were worried about that?
I know that's just been, from what I've heard, that's been a big point of contention as to where things are going and how they're being used and how people gain access to those. And from what I've heard, it's all been a lot of speculation. And I think one way to do away with that is, of course, transparency.
Sure.
Sure.
So it sounds like it would be a good idea then for us to maybe look into doing such inventory then, so that there's that information available.
Sure. What we're getting to right now is a staffing issue, and we're trying to work out a schedule so that we have people there on a regular basis during predictable hours, so that there's access. And if somebody, I suppose during that time we'll have somebody there just holding the space open, and we can do some of that inventory ourselves. But I think if transparency is the goal, then people from outside the 5,900 group should be staffing that and taking care of it, because nobody's going to trust us. If the issue's already trust, us doing it doesn't help the solution.
I see possibly where you're going with that. Go ahead.
I'd like to suggest possibly we move to a more traditional facilitation kind of setup, because I like the way this is being done, but it seems like inevitably, because we turn into like a question-answer kind of format, there are people who are not going to be able to say what they'd like to say. As a mediator/facilitator, I think it's important that everyone is facilitation is supposed to be completely unbiased and just to monitor the conversation that's happening.
Okay. Real quickly, I'm not going to one of the reasons I wanted to do it this way is that a lot of our problem exists in question and answer situations. That's what I've found out is that he didn't know the answer, you have the answer. If we waited, in a normal general assembly situation, there isn't enough, what I've seen is direct talk, and we have I'm on this in their mind, and I really just kind of want everybody to express themselves. Now, if people are not comfortable, if I've tried to do this just a little bit longer, can I get a temperature check on me continuing just for a little bit longer to kind of just an idea, or do you really want to have? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe just talking about everybody has to phrase questions, and the idea that if somebody has an answer to a question, they can do the reply. And also, I'm comfortable with people just sit down
a long period of time, it's my experience that maybe one of those questions will be answered, and then to leave this meeting without a question. That's just been my experience, but if people prefer, I'll sit down. Let's sit over here. All right, so...
So also for you to have people stand up and facilitate in front of everybody, which is not bad for myself.
It's fine. As long as you can all hear me, that's fine. Funny, if I didn't feel like a leader, I felt surrounded. But, that being said, okay, so now you had an issue about, we went through that recap, you had an issue about whether or not everything was being cataloged and whether or not the stuff is being taken proper care of. Now, let's move on to another one. Is there any other questions or concerns about the issue of 5900?
Stepping back for a minute for the benefit, how many people represent 5900 and who tonight is representing 5900?
People are involved with 5900?
So how many people are at 5900? No, how many people are in that group?
Not here.
Not here.
Oh, all total? Yeah. Total? I think we took like a pretty close census. You're seeing somewhere between this and slightly less than that present.
How many of that?
So it's probably 20 people or so, plus or minus a few.
Okay. Or did you have a point?
Well, I just had another question, or I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's a question.
Go ahead.
Do you think? Last Tuesday was the first General Assembly I've been to in like a week and a half because I was at my parents' house. And so everything that I've heard about what's going on with Occupy and the 5900 building has all been like from other people, which I think is like where a lot of people are getting their information. And so I think it'd be nice for me if, like, I know there was at the GA there was a mention people from 5900 came up and talked about the United Detroit Collective that they formed, and maybe if someone felt comfortable talking more about the United Detroit Collective and how, I guess just kind of like the setup of 5900 right now. I guess because my understanding is that there's people living above it who are paying their own rent, and then there's a space below it that is open to all the occupies, and I just,
Okay, so there's a volunteer for 5900?
Okay, so how it is that a bunch of us who are already working together from various working groups in camp moved on this thing when we thought we were getting evicted. We were people that were used to working with each other. We were together constantly trying to fill each other's needs in camp and getting that done. So when it came time to move and prepare the space, we all just kind of individually decided that that was something we were interested in doing. We came together doing that. It continued to be a project that we were interested in. Yes, we are paying our own rent upstairs. Yes, the space below is given to us free of rent, although we are responsible for the utilities within that space. Which
Clarify who we is.
the collective, the United Detroit Collective is responsible for the utilities. Basically, we've assumed the responsibility to become custodians, janitors of the space, and to manage its operations and facilitate those operations in the interest of providing an asset to all occupiers everywhere.
Any other questions? Do you have any concerns about any of that?
No, I
Anybody else got
Sound good?
Just an next question behind you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I know one of the issues people are very concerned about is 1,500 gathering money for 1,500 using the name Occupy Detroit. I know that's an issue. I'm wondering if you could address that issue. And the other issue is I'll speak for myself, and I won't. Like, not really. When I heard the report and stuff that was going on, one of the questions that you just clarified, I was like, wow, this guy's trying to get us to like, because it sounds like there's a lot of work that needs to be put into 5,900, and I was like, what's the deal with that? And are we going to own it? Are people looking to own it? Because I don't know about you, but I hate to put in a lot of work that you just leave me with. You know, that also kind of needs to be
Okay. So the first question to read.
I'm sorry, the first question is reiterating about the issue of 5,900 getting resources and money for 5,900 in the name of Occupy Detroit.
Okay, so to address that, because that has been a concern that we've heard a lot of, we have, when I went to Lansing, and Neil could attest to this because he was on that trip with me and he was present there, we were very specific in repping for Unite Detroit and made it very clear, crystal clear, and this is on tape, so if you want to look it up and watch the whole thing go down, feel free to spend 2 hours of your day watching me do this. But every time I spoke up there, I was speaking on behalf of Unite Detroit.
I think this was the reason.
Yeah, the Gathering of the Tribes.
Gathering of the Tribes. Well, I'm talking about before that. There was a report where someone was like, oh yeah, we got $1,000 from the union person.
Almost every single thing that has been done there has been funded by one of these means. Earmark donation to do things for that structure, at that structure, by the people working in that structure. Out of pocket by people working in that structure, which has been a lot of it, and out of pocket by the owner of that structure. So the furnaces that were installed at great cost were installed by the owner, by his people, out of his pocket. All the labor has been volunteer. None of it's been paid labor. So what would be fundraising? We just done our WePay, and very clearly on the statement on WePay is that Unite Detroit Collective. Okay, so the words Occupy and Detroit do appear in there, but not next to each other. Okay, so.
Yeah, and just broadly on that, like a lot of people in general, politically, are hesitant about the idea of Occupy Detroit moving, and they were concerned about this, Occupy Detroit moving into a space that is leased for, office space, because, one thing that was special about Occupy Detroit is that it wasn't just like another community organizing association or another NGO that had office space somewhere. It was different, it was radical, it was occupying public space, it was very public, and a lot of people just didn't want that to be where it went. I mean, honestly, being one of those people is kind of our fault that we didn't think of an alternative or organize an alternative quick enough, it honestly can still happen. That's the thing, like, it's not usually included. And also, and I just think, like, a lot of times, like, it's just, like, I think people from, sometimes, like, don't make it easy for them. Like, I left the GA and Title I Council, and I just figured that some people were really put off by the way that they came and interrupted the GA, made an announcement, and left something, and I just think sometimes just issues of, like, the way they present it, and the third thing is the third question, like, I heard something about, like, SWAT boxes. SWAT, like food, like, could you talk more about that?
Sure. There was a lot of complaints that SWATs were being underserved. and that we were hanging on to the food supply and like hoarding it or something. And the fact of the matter is that it was, yes, it was there where we are, but we hadn't had specific requests that were getting to us for what was needed out of the spots. Once that communication got through, people got busy on it. I'm really hard at kitchen, so I can't really speak to this with accuracy, but my understanding is that the food supplies were being organized in boxes that were being shipped out to help the SWAT out on some kind of regular basis. And my other understanding is from Luciano that the basis hasn't been regular enough, and supplies have been short, and transportation has been a real issue. Not everybody over 3,900 has a car. None of us are getting reimbursed for our travel, and gas is pricey, you know. And I think Luciana's hit this herself quite a bit, using her own tank and using up her own vehicle to truck supplies around to people where she is. So I think those are issues surrounding it. Also, we never really had sufficient logistics in place to handle something. As per the goal of the group working there to set that communications up, something we're working to resolve. And I think one of the best paths to it is having TV radio so we can have direct immediate contact where people aren't running out of minutes, where they don't have to pay for a plan, where they can just pick it up and talk to somebody on the other end. And as transparency there, I mean, it's public. So, you know, break. Pull over the food shipments?
I'm not too worried about that. Okay. Does that answer your... Okay. All right. What is a SWAT? So you want to refer to that? Go ahead.
SWAT is a place that we trying to occupy. Any place we can get in. Somebody can have a roof over their head and get a possible weapon. We make them out, make them deal, something that we can get legally or illegally. SWAT will make them out. Yeah, Detroit area. Yeah.
Okay. So you're into it?
This has been up for a while, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Speak loud.
All right. I wanted to address the 5,900 debacle. Is there a lease? Do you guys have a lease?
Kyle signed a lease and is accepting personal responsibility until such time as he can have an LC3 or a 501c3 in place.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
How's the group operating? As an affinity group or as a working group?
We started off in various working groups. We moved into the affinity group structure from there and kind of decided through talking and mutual interest and flavor that we wanted to form a collective. Many of us, and some of us are still maybe not all the way on board with that. I don't know. So, go ahead.
I was waving at him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. My concern, because someone asked about the way the United Trade Union operates, is that I live above the United Trade. I don't entirely agree with what's going on, or more specifically how things have gotten to the position that they are at right now. And I just learned that a lease has been signed, but it doesn't seem like the whole affinity group was a part of that discussion. So I feel like there is a lack of, democratic process taking place within the group.
I can sign to that to a degree because I didn't know the lease was happening until after it happened either. But I was already on board with that happening. I don't know if you didn't know it was a discussion.
The last I heard is that there
and it has been how we function internally. A lot of what we do happens in small group breakout kind of work sessions. So after we're all done with all of our meetings for the evening, we separate off into rooms along what kind of projects we want to work on, and work is happening simultaneous with discussion. Then we make an attempt to get it circulated out to the group so that everybody can get friendly amendments and put in what their 2 bits are if they have 2 bits on it. And then we put it into action in the product.
Okay. I have Mark and Jeremy and...
Okay, so Mark is next.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple things. You mentioned about the money thing, a lot of people mentioned about that, and then about a union donation, but there was 1,000 that was donated. To get it out the way, the mail thing on the computer said you're announcing that United Detroit exists. That you announced that we are United Detroit. Right, so you're separate than Occupy. You announced it.
Yes, we are.
So when you took it, and the problem was, it's not anyone's fault, I'm just acknowledging the question you asked, that there was a union that donated 1,000 thinking they donated it to Occupy. It was used up by, what is it calling itself?
United Detroit.
United Detroit. So United Detroit used 1,000, is what I got, maybe not, but I got that they used it to instruct it to piss off the union, and that's what wasn't answered as far as he mentioned a union donation under the guise of Occupy. It wasn't to Occupy, and there's a PR damage control that needs to be done, it sounds like.
And the first I heard of it was the same time you first heard of it, and the first time anybody that I was here heard of it, and I had no idea that was going on when it happened. I was not informed of that.
Right.
So now people that were working in labor or making that happen. So I just chose
who's
to
the fault?
I don't know the details.
Yeah, my question wasn't aimed at who did what and what happened. This did happen. And then what really needs to be done as far as the Occupy in regards of portraying Occupy to be Occupy and the money that was donated intentionally for Occupy, it does need to be repaired. So acknowledge that.
I will acknowledge that, but I will also say that while we are working independent with autonomy, that we are doing all of this to support the movement globally and to provide an asset to not only Occupy Detroit, but the whole region and the country and the whatever. So, we want to provide an asset to the movement. That's our goal. And if you guys want to get behind it and be involved, we love your support. If you're pissed off and you don't want to talk to us, we'll wait until you are ready to come and use the asset.
I'm sure it's a two-way street, but my question really was do a PR damage control issue on that donation, which I feel protects the Occupy movement, which I am totally backing the kids here. And so as far as PR damage control with the union that donated it, I think that's a priority so we can get rid of this Occupy, the creation of Unite, and the separation that happens when these things go on. But to really clear that up will probably be essential to help clear that.
Okay, let's also be clear that almost everybody who's at that state is also participating in other working groups within the greater movement, and that we're separate in that we are collectively taking stewardship of this, and we're collaborating together on other projects, which we're trying to do independently to support the movement.
Yeah.
But we're all still involved in other working groups. We didn't go away. We didn't withdraw. We're still integrated.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not arguing with the fact. I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying the damage control of the union for the college.
We're working on it. Okay, here's a little mediator discussion. So
in a very early stage, and before we really settled into what we are now, and the lines were very much less clear then, you know, between who was what and where, because camp was in the midst of dissolving, and we didn't really even go to form the affinity group until after we had resistance and created what we were trying to achieve.
No, absolutely. I understand that problem. Now, I guess what I'm saying is to make sure that he doesn't have any anxiety anymore about it, we need to make sure it doesn't happen anymore.
What are we going to make sure doesn't happen again is we're forming a paper entity, and we've already formed a WePay account, and everything I've been going through speaking for this collective made it very much crystal clear and out loud that yes, I'm from Detroit. I don't represent the Detroit GA. I'm here as an individual and as a component of this group. Now, the owner is a member to. Yeah, we have to elaborate with him in order to facilitate functions. So you count him as a member when you count ahead. I've had to my boss estimate of how many people were there. He doesn't live on site. That's communicated there. Who is next?
I think I was. Yeah, I guess in regard to some of the things that have been said, I think the $1,000 actually speaks specifically to lights that were donated, so people are confused about where that came from. They're actually the lights that are hanging above the facility.
And they were previously lights that were lighting the kitchen.
Okay, at least 2 of them were, and then some more have been added, right? And yeah, I think that's also how they kind of fell through. People forgot they were above everybody's heads.
And also a lot of electrical cord was already previously donated to the kitchen, so it's stuff that came in supply, and Mackie helped, or actually was almost totally responsible for setting it up on his own paper. And it's stuff that his union brought in, and like it was stuff that was earmarked for infrastructure at camp, and since camp no longer existed, that was used for infrastructure in the space storing stuff that was formerly camp.
Okay. Yeah, I guess since we're sort of, I'm not sure if we're still on topic with, or about the off topic discussing how sort of things came about. Yeah. Okay,
well, if you want to say something about that to clarify a misconception, then that helps us get rid of the anger, as long as that we don't go back and forth about it too much, and then just try to move on. And now we're doing this, so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of moving forward, I think what maybe will help to clear the air is just that consistently what has been the disconnect between the two groups is, I mean, through more of the issues I've been outside of 5900. I was part of the initial cleanup, and I managed to get back into some of the cleaning efforts in the last week or so. Other than that, I've been cleaning camper off for the holiday. I think what has consistently led to friction is that the 5900 group has, I believe in earnest, been trying to work towards what is better, what is best for Occupy Detroit as a whole. But they have gone about that in a way that hasn't consulted the camp as a whole, and so has mainly resulted in coming in and saying, we have done this in your best interest, and then consistently the outer group has been angered that they weren't considered, and the new group has been disappointed that their efforts weren't appreciated. So I guess now that they are separate groups, that may be less of an issue as the initial group no longer feels, there may be less expectation that the new group consolidate with the initial group. I don't know if that will help at all or not, but I think that's now what's led to the idea of, since they're so connected and yet different, is it a competitive group? Is it a group that is going to be sapping strength from the initial group, as there's now an initial group that you can't, it's very difficult to tell where one group stops and another group starts. So I guess if we
building off of that,
move on from that.
how does the 5900 group feel about being sure we consult the General Assembly about major decisions?
What's considered a major decision?
Why is it only when?
Yeah. If you want to answer, go ahead.
There's a set.
I'm trying to resolve this issue. That's why I'm mediating instead of.
I'm sorry. Can we just have like a large discussion about this? I just think we might be over-mediating it. I know you mean well, but I think like it just seems like always trying to resolve everyone's dispute. Like sometimes you're gonna just get discussion, keep that going. Like you don't need to always go back and forth and like try to resolve things. And sometimes we have issues that shouldn't be resolved right now. So like to push people into always resolving right here and now seems like a little pushy. So let's just do a general.
I'm going to say to you what I saw that was the reason I didn't want to have a General Assembly about this, is that we're coming in out of General Assembly and people are leaving and these issues are unresolved, and then they end up all over the internet because they're not resolved right then. Whereas that was why I felt it would be more efficient. If you guys are really against this, I'll just step out of it and you can handle it yourself. But
I think that what you're doing is that maybe instead of in a large meeting trying to get people to resolve their issues, you get the issues out on the table. You know, so everybody knows what the issues are, and then you can think about those issues and think about some solutions. Instead of being like, well, you know, it's not valuable unless we figure it out right now. If we at least know, okay, well, these people were pissed off about this, and these people about that, then we can think about it and then come back again in a future time and maybe come up with a solution after we had a chance to sleep on it. I'm just trying to clarify your point.
well, I don't. I guess my point is just to say that I don't.
Just on the, I mean, I understand like what people are saying, but I mean, so far, like things have been cleared up whenever someone is on an issue. I feel like that there is clarity when there is a question. So there's a question, and then after the question is clear. And I just think that like it may be irritating or it may be something negative. But for this question, I think it's really helpful to continue in the way that like you just said. Because for me, I've had a whole lot of questions answered that I can tell other people about.
I think it's worth, I'm sorry to speak up to that, but I think it's worth to keep in mind as well that not the entire community is present. And so I think it's asking a lot for small groups of people to just have interviews.
I think the meeting group in general, or the collective, there's a reason why, I'm not going to speak on behalf of those who are here, but I think the reason why they aren't here is because how things have been handled. A lot of people have been personally hurt by it because how this kind of situation has been so aggressive when we have been talking to each other. So a lot of them don't even want to be here to handle it, and I definitely don't agree with that because I have walked out on meetings and I've been so upset about what's been going on, and I'm still here. So, but that's my issue with that. That's stupid. But I think that this meeting does go better. Like I think if we should have like maybe another meeting, I don't think there's another meeting about this. But as an FGAs or whatnot, maybe more people from the meeting group, a collective. Sorry, we just changed our name. We got it. But it just does feel better and makes you feel this is for asking a lot of questions.
I have people on staff that have been waiting. Okay, Silverman right here. Wait, I'm in there.
Basically, what I've been sensing is like going back to what the GAs have been doing lately. Yeah. So the GAs have been able to send lately when I have a car and talk to people online. It's like there's old issues, you know, feeling like a big problem or handled. So I guess a lot of people, I think, are just kind of like they're worried that you have left because almost feeling good. Like we are, you know, like you're saying, we're going to go do something different because, you know, you were saying like how things are going or how you were being treated, things like that. My question is, what can everybody else do to make sure that you still feel included? Because I want everybody to get it.
And a real point, real quick, was the reason I kept asking him was that he kind of volunteered and we asked earlier. If there's anyone else for 5900 who wants to field that, please. Anyone?
I can do that.
Okay.
You want to go? Okay.
To restate that question
real quick, if you said it, but
Basically,
feel like we're...
what can the non-United Deferred people do at this point to make sure